Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Tom's back. We're going to chat. I'm excited. I don't know if you caught it, but we have a whole dedicated show where author of Dark Crisis himself, Joshua Williamson, and I chat. And he heard that you don't like my Predator on a pirate ship pitch. And so he and I story broke that Predator story on air in the show. He got so jazzed about that pitch that he completely went down the rabbit hole, conjured this entire tale, and I'm like, well, now it's not mine anymore. Now Joshua Williamson, writer of Dark Ride, is going to take my Predator on a pirate ship, is going to zip it over to Marvel and make it a thing, and I'll be reading about it instead of living fat off of the royalties of my Predator versus Pirates pitch.
I think you have a case. I think you can take it up with the Comics Guild. I
didn't even know there was a guild.
Josh, we'll have to first business. We'll found a guild.
I see.
Second order of business, you will be the first case in front of the guild.
Yeah,
and we will argue that a Predator pirate originated in you.
I mean, we have the proof. It's on the show.
The shame will be on your face.
That's
and
right.
That will make sense. He dug that pitch. He dug the Predator.
He did. He was like, I heard that Tom doesn't like it, and I was like, no, he did not. He did not.
Where do you go? He's on a ship. He's gonna blow up the ship.
That's right. Yeah, but like, look, you of all people,
it's not like Tommy Lee Jones in Under Siege, who just has like a knife. The Predator has a goddamn. He's got
cloaking. He's got shoulder cannon. I know. But like, you know as well as I do that like an entire movie's worth of adventure can happen within the span of 90 minutes.
That's what a movie's called. It's
right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But like in real time, I mean, like 24 made a whole show about crazy crap happening within sequence.
90 minutes on a ship. It's like 2 seconds on a ship. How long could it take him to hunt? If he can't, you would have to call it the dumbest Predator on a ship.
They're pretty stupid.
Smart.
Overall, like they're not exactly the smartest bunch. They have untold, technology from beyond the stars. They can cloak, and what they use it to go on safari.
And they couldn't defeat Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, you realize it was like peak Arnold Schwarzenegger. But really, he was very overmatched. Schwarzenegger was the underdog.
He was the underdog.
He was like a 12-point favorite, the Predator in that thing. A lot of people lost a lot of money on that thing.
What's funny about the Predator movie and Arnold is that it took me, I think, up until like about a year ago to realize that Predator, like the movie itself, is like a critique on the action movie genre, and that the whole movie is like a subversion of that. Like you could just do Predator without the Predator in it.
Killing the dreams of my childhood.
No, I mean it's still dope. I mean, we still have Predator 2. So, which has no depth and is just what you see is what you get. There's no critique on cinema in there. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Predator. We're here to talk about your. Well, I feel like we've already done it.
That's an hour two.
That's all. Hour two.
It's all Predator talk with Tom and Sal.
Yeah, if it doesn't work out with this whole comics or movies thing, I think we got ourselves a series.
Yeah, no, it's obvious.
Yeah,
this is our podcast.
Decloaked with Tom and Sal. I think it's.
Holy shit! You have a title and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I haven't been sitting on it waiting to pitch it to you or anything. But, yeah. So
decloak sounds wrong somehow with the two.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, like decloaked. That just means revealed. Like it just means you're not cloaked.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So hey, since we last
Tom
talked,
and Sal take off their cloaks tonight at 8.
That's right. Disrobing. The last time we chatted, I think Wonder Woman was underway / on the cusp. Like it was almost out. Now we're at issue 5.
So we're 6 months later.
Phenomenal series.
I don't talk to you enough.
No, it's true. I agree. Although we have seen each other more recently. You were at the little known ZapCon in Wayne, New Jersey, and we got to hang out.
Yes,
you were more or less a captive audience, but still.
But the more I see you a lot of cons, and I tell you the same thing every time, and I'm going to say it again. I see your fans at cons. You have the best fans. You have a dedicated, wonderful listener base who comes up to me, and they'll wait in my line, which is a significant line. There's people there. You got to wait a while.
Yeah.
And they come up to the front, and they want to, and what they talk to me about is how much they love you. As I just imagine they're going from table to table, creator to creator, just to tell people how much they love. So they'll come and be like, Tom, I waited in line 15 minutes. I just want to tell you something. Sal's the best. He's fucking the best. And I was like, you're right. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just amazed this is happening.
I will agree with you that the audience is incredible. These folks who watch the show, who support us, are the best audience we've got, or that are on the internet. But that's testament to your writing. I mean, like I'm happy to endorse what you've got, and then they hear me sell it, and they're like, I want it, and then they come up to you. The fact that they go to cons at all is wonderful. You know, just going to cons, sitting in line, meeting creators, getting them signed, showing respect, being cool. Like that's always the dream for me. It's just that experience.
The way I hear it is like, normally, Tom, I would just say that I hated your Batman run, but I liked Supergirl. But instead, I'm gonna tell you I'm a Sal fan. Kind of a nice way to get into that.
It's true. Yeah. That's their avenue. I actually did run into a number of fans at Baltimore Comic-Con, and they were like, I saw Tom King. I told him how much I like it. I'm like, I appreciate that. I'm sure he does not need to hear about that.
No,
like,
I love it. I can people. It's to know that people are going home, they're watching this show, they're learning about comics, they're learning from you, a guy I really appreciate. I know it warms my heart every time, and your fans are cool, and they're collected, and they're nerdy, and they know comics.
It's true,
and it's awesome. I approve.
Yeah, the thing that makes me the happiest is when we change their minds, or we sell them on a book that they otherwise wouldn't have bought. I cite Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which, you know, obviously everyone's favorite 8-issue miniseries, the classic system of comic releases. Everybody loves an 8-issue miniseries.
Of course.
That's how you know the company really believes in you. It's by giving you 8 issues instead of like 12 or 6. But that book is obviously toppers. I hate to use that word, but it's awesome.
Toppers. We'll put that on the cover. Toppers.
Yeah, toppers. Wow. ComicPop. Yeah. I'll take it. I'll put it on the cover. But
it's not Predator, Sal.
It ain't Predator, but it'll do.
It'll do. Yeah.
But folk being like, I either loved your Batman run, or I wasn't a fan of this, that, the other thing. But then I tried something, and that was awesome, and it completely changed how I look at comics. That's the thing that like really, and that's what I come to expect from Tom King works at this point. It's just something that's going to be kind of cool that also completely changes how you look at either a character or the genre. I cite Penguin. I just finished. I'd been sitting on it. I read the first 3 issues, and then I sat on it for a while. But then I remembered Penguin came out this week, and so I picked up the rest of it, read it all before the interview, and I was like, "This book is still good, despite the fact that it's a Penguin."
The one from today was super intense.
Yeah, it was.
I don't. But I really liked the one from today. I thought it has this kind of Frank Miller-y vibe.
Oh, I didn't get it, Frank Miller. I just it was just harsh, just good and harsh.
It was. It's harsh.
But I love it, and it made me feel good because the whole. It made me feel good because it's about Penguin. Penguin's the main character. I hesitate to use the word protagonist, but he is the protagonist of his own series, and we're seeing kind of like the first interactions between Oswald Cobblepot and Batman, and when we first meet him, Cobblepot is playing ball with Batman, and he's become an informant, and it's this kind of like interesting dynamic, and I'm like, oh my god, what does Batman do to fuck up this relationship? Like, how does Batman betray Oswald? And then to find out, like, oh, thank God, he's just a piece of shit. All right. The Penguin always has been just a scumbag. Good. I don't feel bad about.
He's not a good person. In fact, he's a horrible person who cares nothing for anyone's life and only for his own power.
That's right.
That is who Penguin is, and he's super fun to write, and you want to root for him anyways. That's what I like.
It's true. It's true. You do want to root for him, despite him being the worst. I want to root for him, but I'm looking forward to his downfall.
Yeah, well, I mean, it starts off with him drowning in a lake, or in an ocean. So we'll get to that by issue 12.
I keep forgetting about that. Issue 12 is when we get to there. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the big question for me coming into Penguin. There are people texting me Hollywood news as we talk.
Hollywood
was Penguin is the head of Gotham crime. He's the Godfather. He's the Marlon Brando of Gotham crime. That's kind of been established the last 30 years. He's in the first beginning he was just another criminal, but now he's always been that sort of Godfather figure.
Yeah.
And so my question coming in is, why the hell does Batman let that happen?
Right.
Like, Batman's literal goal is to crush crime.
Yeah.
Here's a guy who's like, I am the godfather of the crime. Everyone knows where he is. He's in the goddamn iceberg lounge.
Yeah.
And
they have his address. Yeah.
Well, Batman doesn't have evidence against him or something. Like, when did Batman ever care about evidence? The dude freaking hangs people by wires over and asks and tortures them for information.
That's right.
Batman doesn't care
He's not a due process kind of guy.
No, he is a justice kind of guy.
Yeah.
So the question that haunted me was like, how can I kind of square this circle? That's just like one of those things in the middle of our DC universe that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so issue 6 and 7 are attempts to answer that. I just mean to spoil you for I said, but I put him in sort of a Whitey Bulger situation where he becomes an informant for Batman, and Batman sets him up as a mobster in order to get more information. But of course, Penguin, as Whitey Bulger used the FBI, Penguin is using Batman to take out his rivals and to empower himself. And every word he says to Batman is a lie. Batman knows every word is a lie, but can't quite catch him in that. And it becomes this sort of power balance between the two of them over who is using whom in this relationship.
Yeah. It's incredible how each subsequent series that you've dropped for Batman, from One Bad Day to Killing Time, has been this kind of like exploration of a villain or of a couple of villains and how they relate, like how they really reflect Batman. And obviously, like any armchair, freshman, essay is going to be about Batman and how he's a reflection of his villains. But
Sure.
But that seems to be like a kind of like that seems to be your guiding star when it comes to Batman now, because that certainly was not the case with your run. Your run was not about like, let's see how Two-Face is a reflection of Batman's duality of da-da-da, but like now that you're only kind of focusing on Batman through these kind of like chunks, this is an aspect of who he is, and this is what this is how they relate to each other and how they feed off each other. And I'm kind of like, that's cool. Like, that's because we get in, we get out, we just drop in, see how that goes, get that story, and then we move on. It's just really cool.
Yeah, I mean, you grow as a writer, or maybe you become numb to things. I mean, I think I've written more Batman than anyone alive, or at least it's close in terms of comics.
Yeah.
I think Chuck Dixon's right there.
Fair.
But yeah, the things I used to be interested in about Batman, I'm not that interested in anymore. Maybe because I explored them. But the stuff about and this sounds trite, but please read that I wrote about this stuff for years and years and years. But
right,
him as a father, him as a family man, him as a love interest to Selina.
Yeah.
Him as recovering from trauma. All that stuff that I just delved into issue after issue. It's not something that makes me curious anymore. I'm more interested in a street level Batman fighting insanity. I'm more interested sort of the stripped down, the Batman of Frank Miller's Year One, like that Batman, the one who's on a balcony just struggling to like survive while getting kicked in the face. Like that's kind of the Batman that interests me now.
That's so funny, because that is exactly the kind of Batman that I want to read about. Like, it may be why I rejected the run. Because I was like, I don't care about Batman being in love, and I will tell you, and not to disparage it, because
disparage away. I'm ready.
The genuine truth is, like, I have gone back and reread some of these arcs, and like I was not ready. I was not ready for those periods. I loved so much of it after the fact, after I'd already gone on record talking about how much I hate it. But there are, I was rereading, and I'm currently rereading all of Nightfall, Knight's Quest, Knight's End.
Super fun. But also, there are things in there where I'm like, where did this happen? Because like we all have our entry points, like where we dropped in to reading current monthly comics. Sure.
And I remember I didn't read Batman on the regular. What I would do is I would read like the occasional Alan Grant Breyfogle or Jim Aparo Batman issue. when I was
Same. I would read the ones with Robin on the cover. That's
me too. If I saw him in the top left, I go, "Oh, Robin's in this one. I'll pick that one up."
Yeah, that first Tim Drake Robin with the goddamn staff and all
Yes.
that was my jam as a kid.
Dude.
Yeah.
No, that miniseries, that Robin first miniseries.
Yeah, where he fights like the King
Snake.
King Snake. Sorry,
No, I only know it because I literally have just read it. Because I just read a story in which Robin is like pointing his finger in Jean-Paul Valley Batman's face, going like, "I fought King Snake." So
I brought that trade with me to camp, one of those overnight camp, where you go for like a week or two when you're a kid. And it was shocker of shockers, a little comp. I didn't have so many friends, so I read that maybe 50 times.
Totally.
Every single beat in that thing.
Yeah. I got that thing like at some kind of a discount store. The book itself, that trade is like $5 cover price. Made on the cheapest of newsprint.
Yes, I still have my copy. It's
A Hero Reborn. I got mine. It's at the office, but it's still like. But I don't need it because I know every page.
Yeah, you me.
Yeah,
that was a good costume, man, with the black cape that was yellow on the inside.
I going back and
Neil Adams designed that costume.
I know. It's funny to think about because like it's such a modern idea. Like for me, it was such a modern take on the costume, and it was also just a no brainer. Give him the tall boots, give him the black cape, but keep the color on the inside. Those pouches, those weird camo ammo things that he had on his gloves and his shoulder pads. I'm like, I don't know what that's supposed to be. I don't know what keeps him there, but
that was cool. We got a topic. You were reading Batman sporadically.
Oh, but I was reading Nightfall, and I was wondering, like, where does all this stuff come from? And when I was reading it on a regular, like, there was a shift between what they were doing, which was kind of like the kind of done in ones or done in 2 or 3 parters, and then just the long standing, or what Denny O'Neil called the mega series. A hadn't existed yet, or B was like relegated to. Legends of the Dark Knight is where we make our trades, or occasional things like Night of the Beast. Sure. But for the most part, it's just like drop in, read your fun story where he fights Scarface for 2 issues, and then drop out. And then you read Nightfall, and he's suddenly beleaguered, and he's tired, and all this crap is happening, and Bane's on the undercurrent, and Chandra Kinsolving is this psychiatrist / actual like medical doctor who's trying to attend to him. And I'm like, who is this? Where did these people come from? And because I feel like I've been reading Batman. Turns out it was like 4 or 5 issues before Nightfall. They I want to say it was Doug Mensch. And I will ask you, because you know all these things, is it Doug Mensch, Munch, or a third option?
I believe it's Mensch. That's my understanding.
My limited yet still somewhat exposure to Yiddish suggests Mensch, because I've but
that's not spelled the same way.
It's not spelled the same way. I always thought it was spelled the same way, but maybe it's just my exposure to the word. But I always thought it was Mensch. But I'd heard somebody in my comments like, it's Munch, and I'm like, I begged it. I don't think so.
Oh, maybe
I've never met him.
I know Marv. I'll text Marv. He'd know.
There we go. Well, that's funny because the trouble with that is that sometimes they change their names. When we were growing up, DeMatteis was the writer, but now it's DeMatteis.
Oh, how dare they?
I met
the Van Gogh Van Gogh situation.
Oh, I wouldn't even. I outright reject Van Gogh. Forget it. Absolutely not. Just like Pluto's a planet and Van Gogh is how I pronounce it. Forget it.
Well, when I go to Tome King, you'll know.
Tome King. But regardless of the authenticity or when these characters were introduced, I was like, what are you doing introducing Sean? Who cares about who's in love with Batman? Like, none of this is, this isn't Archie. This isn't Spider-Man. I'm not interested in seeing who loves Batman, And I have to give it to you. I feel like it is a direct result of your run and your kind of like raising up of the Catwoman, like the Bat-Cat relationship, that people are now at a point where they're like, excuse me, are you belittling the Bat-Cat relationship? Because it's the most, it's sealed. That is canon. Meanwhile, I'm like reading books from like 1993 where Catwoman's like teaming up with Bane because Batman was broken by it. She's like, yeah, whatever, who cares?
I mean, I don't want to take too many credit because there were literally 3 movies based on that relationship before it came on.
I guess that's true, but those, yeah, like, well, first of all, one of those movies, the Batman Returns option, she just goes away, just like all of them,
Yes, but she's the best of all the romantic options. I mean, the line of "Do we have to fight now" is my favorite line from all 4 movies.
It's such a good line
when they're dancing and they realize who they are.
That sequence where they're on the couch in Wayne Manor.
Yeah,
I'm like, just looking at these 2 lunatics on a couch, and they don't know what to. I'm like, oh, like that was. Yeah,
we're both friends with Josh Williamson. Did he ever tell you he's seen that movie 17 times? He told me this morning.
No,
not overall. In the theaters when it came out.
No,
he saw it 17 times that summer.
That's a lot of time.
That's too many times to be in a theater.
I don't know about that because I've definitely been in the theater a lot.
Have you seen a movie? Have you ever done that where you've gone on repeat play to a movie that's in a theater?
Yeah.
Okay, hit me.
Well, I mean, I saw Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet probably 7 or 8 times in the theater, but I just gotten a girlfriend and I had no place to go. So that was one.
That's different. And
that's very
presumably you weren't always watching the movie.
Significantly, but I gleaned a lot. The second but the second option
that movie was a phenomenon if people don't remember. It was a very bizarre thing that happened because MTV embraced a Shakespeare movie.
Yeah.
And it would be, you'd watch like Total Request Live and they'd be doing Shakespeare quotes. And it was like all the cool kids wanted to go see a Romeo and Juliet. It's a bizarre phenomenon.
It's, and by the way, like just, for an armchair director perspective, it's not bad.
No, it's super good. It's a good adaptation.
Yeah, except for the fact that I don't think that Claire Danes has any idea what she's saying. She's a great actor, but she can't sell that she knows exactly what she's saying at any point. That the dude who there's an actor in that movie who plays Mercutio. He's also in real movies, and I don't know his name, and I will only always call him Mercutio. But he's great. Also has no idea what he's saying. Coming from an English teacher, I can tell you he's just, I'm like, that's not, nothing you're saying warrants the behavior you're exhibiting right here. But it's such a visual spectacle. Like it hits
I
me
was
so
in
hard.
Romeo and Juliet in college. I did.
Really?
Yeah, it was my last attempt at being an actor. I played the role of Peter, and that's how I knew it was time to quit. When you travel for Romeo and Juliet and you get Peter on the call card, you're like, this is not my.
I don't even remember Peter, and I've taught that play.
Peter's unknown. He is not. It's not like Romeo and Juliet and Peter, and they
no.
Peter has very few lines.
But you could have been Tybalt or even Benvolio. But
no, that's Peter. And but I remember watching the play and having seen it like 30, 50 times, and I was sitting there once. I was watching, and all the actors, and it was such an experience because we took the play to a women's high security prison.
Oh my God!
And we performed it there, and it was a whole thing. I remember watching this and still being moved by the end of it. Still like being like, oh my God! I was still, even though I knew all the actors and knew it was all fake, it still could move me. But we are way off topic. Arbitrary Batman jumping in and out.
Well, no, we were talking about we're making fun of the fact that Joshua Williamson watched Batman Returns 17 times in the theater.
So what's bigger than Romeo?
I saw Lord of the Rings. I think I saw Return of the King like 10 times in the theater.
10 times.
Yeah, it was.
That's because that's a 3.5 hour movie. So that's more than
many times to see a 3.5 hour movie.
That means you saw at least 67 endings.
Yeah, that's right. That's how the math checks out. I completely agree. There are movies that I've seen dozens of times. I think that's probably true for you as well. But
there are movies I've seen dozens of those.
Yeah, but sitting in the theater watching it, I don't think as a kid I watched any movie more than like 2 times. But that was because I was beholden to like my parents and their desires and allowance to let me go to see the movie more than a few times. But Josh also he bummed around, like he hung out in Flynn's arcade in Disneyland. Like he was that's the kind of like kid he was. Like he was like an arcade bum.
Josh and I are both SoCal kids.
That's right. You're not even from around here.
Yeah, no, I grew up in LA, and but I grew up closer to the ocean than he did. As you get farther from the ocean, it's harder to breathe in California generally because of the pollution. We send all the pollution over to where Josh lives. But in LA, in SoCal, the general thing in the 90s was we don't need babysitters, we have movie theaters. So I totally understand that. I was in a movie theater every day of summer. I watched whatever movie came out, I would watch it. It didn't matter if it was made for some soap opera or made for 90-year-old men. I would be there.
Yeah, but you never saw any of them 17 times.
No, I would see the next one. That didn't occur to me to go see the same one again.
See now, and you loved comics even at a young age, so you probably would have seen like Batman Forever and Returns and
saw Batman Forever. My mother was a Warner Brothers executive.
Exactly, so you probably saw it for free on the lot. Yeah,
so she was. I remember her going. I remember they did like reshoots for the first Batman movie, and this is a public story now. And they were paying Jack Nicholson something like $1 million a day to do the reshoots. It was like something in his contract, like if they went over a certain amount, he made. And I remember my that was already hit the rumor mill, and my mother just coming home and be like, "I can't believe there's someone on the lot who's just walking around making $1 million." That was before the movie came out.
Oh, sure,
like, this movies.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, of course. No, I remember Batman. I remember very excited about all those movies, watching them all in the theaters.
Yep.
Yeah, and then not being as disappointed now as I am with them. It's like trying to find what was awesome inside them. Even
definitely. Oh no, I made all kinds of excuses for every superhero movie I saw. Incidentally, speaking of superhero movies that are lost, one of my friends finally saw The Mask for the first time, and I was like, "How did you miss The Mask when it came out? It was a phenomenon." I was like, "So when everyone was saying smoking, you were just politely nodding along?"
That's a dark horse joint.
I know. It's like, come on, man. I remember growing up during a period where I was like, oh, so everything's an adaptation. Like everything will get made. You know, like I was expecting a Concrete movie. I was expecting like the Flaming Carrot to get a TV series.
It's not too late. Not too late.
Oh no, that's true. Milk and Cheese their time is coming. You know, but the fact that we got like a Big Guy and Rusty, The Tick, we got 3 different adaptations of The Tick in our lifetime.
Chair.
Yeah. So yeah, like I don't know where we're going with that. I guess Batman and like
you were telling me about early Batman, and you were going to
just here's my love interest for Batman. Just like, oh boo, like it doesn't matter. Like he's not that kind of guy. That's not. But during the run, that was an element that really intrigued you, and so you explored it. And now you're kind of like, well, I did that. Now I'm in the. Let's just see him as an urban explorer. That's the thing that I like love so much about Batman is like these kind of like almost lost art of like those prestige books that just came out, like that they just churned out all the time, where it was like, here's a little story, here's a little thing that's like Batman getting abducted by aliens, or Batman dealing with Catwoman's sister, or that kind of thing.
No, but I when I was writing, I was very much doing sort of superhero Batman, a lot of that kind of stuff, which they're still doing in the book now, which Chip is doing wonderfully.
Oh yes,
and James too. But as I get older, I get more. I like that street level. I like that dirty Batman. I like that in the just like blood flowing and none of the gadgets and stuff. Just like a dirty man in a dirty city trying to clean it up, almost like an old west.
Yeah,
that's what appeals to me now.
I love a little.
Why I like Mitch.
Yeah, Mitch is gonna. It just knocks it out of the park every time, and only gets better. With
crazy good.
Yeah,
we just finished today. We wrapped up our Joker story, which is hard to read because it's in very bizarre volumes of Brave and the Bold.
Oh yes, that's right. Congratulations on the on that conclusion. That's great. Yeah, the Brave and the Bold is a fun idea and a really that's a cool story, and I loved it. Yeah. It's in volume 1, 2, 6, and 9. It's hard to keep track of exactly where it comes. So when the trade comes out, I'll come back and I'm going to promote it because I think people kind of missed it and big time.
And it is as good as One Bad Day that we won the Eisner for. It's the art. I'm not talking about my writing, but
no, of course.
It was built as a companion book to that, so we could have one trade to show you like because that's. A diehard Riddler story and a diehard Joker story by me and Mitch, and it's all that stuff. It's street level. It's scary. It's just the Joker with a knife. It's not like big plans. He's just trying to kill people.
Yeah, you can be sold just by the first issue or the first story. I hesitate to call it an issue because it's like like a quarter. It's like a third of an issue or half.
Well,
an
it's
issue.
24 pages, so it's an issue if it was outside of a issue.
There we go. Yeah, that first part, I remember being like just Joker and the little girl. I was like, oh, this is scary, like genuinely unnerving. Do you have another villain that you haven't really explored that you're kind of like, I would love to tell that story? I don't know if I have a story in my heart, but I wish I did for that villain.
I mean, I don't think there's a villain I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, I always say that, like, I don't really care. You could give me anyone and I'll find something. I mean, if it's Kite Man, it's Kite Man. If it's Joker, it's Joker.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, I guess I would, someone I haven't touched is Two-Face, but that's just because it's weird that I haven't touched him. Because as a kid, I really thought he was cool. Because as a kid, I remember being so stressed about life and just thinking, if you could just flip a coin for every single decision, how much better that would make my life. And I remember I was like, oh, that's what Two-Face does? That's how crazy he is? He flips a coin for every single decision.
Yeah.
And like where that takes you. So I like, but that's the part I like of Two-Face. I don't like the part where he's like Batman's best friend and trying like this. I feel like that stuff's been mined over and over again. There's certain characters, there's only like 2 stories with them, and you see that over and over again. Scarecrow is the same. Scarecrow is like, Scarecrow shows up. He sprays Batman with Scarecrow stuff. Batman goes on a super drug trip.
Yep. He sees his parents murdered, or he sees Jason Todd murdered. Either way.
And then but he fights through it, and he emerges, and he turns the gas on Scarecrow. Yep. That's every Scarecrow story that's ever been written. And most Two-Face stories are Two-Face gets his face repaired, and
yep.
But wait, the monster is still inside him, but Batman believes in him. But oh, he's wrong. The monster comes out, and he's evil again. So
it's essentially just whole ass stories from the 2 pages of Dark Knight Returns.
Yes, that's exactly.
Just the one line of at least both sides match for the rest of his life.
So it's that parts of both of those characters don't interest me, but there must be other parts.
Yeah. Well, Two-Face, I mean, just exploring the idea, the horrors of a person who it would be nice to leave your life up to chance because then you're not culpable for it. But imagine someone who's so crazy that they do.
Yes, that's right.
And they're homicidal. Like that there's something there.
Yeah.
But fair. I wanted to ask you this. This is just a curious itch because you are a comic book fan and because you have such lore steeped inside of you. But do you have besides Heroes in Crisis, obviously? Yes. Do you have a favorite event? It doesn't have to be relegated to Batman. It could be anything. But a favorite, like an event that you're like, either this was what they did it right, or something where you're like, this is not high art. But
this is not.
Secret
Wars 2.
Thank you. I was going to say Secret Wars 2. That's funny. That's also Chip Zdarsky's favorite event, and I'm like,
yes, of course, because you can only look at it ironically.
It's so Secret Wars 2. For those who haven't read it, and you should, people.
No, you don't have. No,
you need to read it. It's insane. It is legitimate insanity. It's Jim Shooter going for broke. He's like, I've got something to say about God.
It's Jim Shooter writing about Jim Shooter. It's not him going for broke. Jim Shooter thought of himself as the Beyonder, and he's like, "This is not like a theory. Like this is like."
Is that really true? Because I mean, like there are moments in there where I could definitely get that, but it's like you don't appreciate me.
Jim Shooter is a comic book god. He belongs in the Hall of Fame forever. Yes. His life story. If I had to write like a history of comics and base it on one person's life story, it would be Jim Shooter. I would read the shit out of that. I think he would be a great like biopic. He was writing comics when he was 13 years old.
Yep.
And his editor broke him and he washed out and became a restaurant. And then he rose to become the head of Marvel. And then his entire staff rebelled and got him fired. Yep. And then he founded Valiant, which was a huge success. And then he lost that. It's like, it's like a Shakespearean story.
I know. And then he did it again with Defiant. And then they destroyed him. And
on top of all that, he's 7 feet fucking tall in an industry of a bunch of nerds.
It's true. He is a tower. Yeah.
And I've met him. He was very nice and he was very cool to talk to. But if you read that book, not there's an oral history of Marvel to comics. I forget what it's called. But but they go into depth about how like he'd always write stories, and inevitably his stories, like the Korvac saga or the Beyonder story, would involve some sort of godlike figure who's very put upon, and
and if only they just give him a chance.
And if only they gave him a chance, he could set things right. And this became, I think, so it's widely read. I mean, among people that he was writing about himself.
Yeah, that's funny.
But but I read the shit out of Secret Wars too. Bought it in back bins. I'm not that old.
No, it's true. Yeah, I didn't read it off the shelf either. I would not have been.
It's like
capable.
Sal Buscema art. I had some in my head.
I think Bob Layton did a lot of it.
Bob Layton, and with the Jerry curl.
Yeah. Well, it's that's a fever dream of a book.
Events that I absolutely love. I keep thinking of like pieces of events I loved. I mean, like I love the first. The Civil War issue that started with the explosion. I remember that just blowing my mind. The first Civil War thing. I in Secret Wars 1, here to give some credit to the dude.
Totally.
When Dr. Doom turns on the Beyonder and it's like there's no god above Doom.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the coolest moments ever.
Agreed.
And then the very end when Captain America uses the Beyonder power to reassemble the shield, I think is just absolutely amazing.
I agree.
I mean, Infinity Gauntlet stands out as just utter. I'm just saying things that came out when I was 12 that I loved.
I mean,
I did Civil War. That was
that'll calcify it. No, because it's thinking about events when they were coming out, because they were being kind of like played with. I like the one that's most vivid for me is Maximum Carnage, and I remember just being fatigued by it like immediately. I was just like, because it was just after a while, I'm like, so this is just the same thing. Again, right? Like Venom shows up, he gets his ass kicked, they take him away. Spider-Man fails, he gets upset, and then no one who can sell a book shows up, team up with them, and shoot him with a hope gun. That sucks. This is horrible. And it had such a good promise, and a hell of a video game, which I played a lot.
We can run through DC events like Millennium was terrible, was awful.
Bloodline
Invasion was for Bloodline. Well, that was like an annual event.
That was an annual. Listen, Millennium was not an event, but not an annual event, but 2001 Armageddon.
Armageddon 2001. That's an underestimated annual event. Love it. Just I think I have to. I was just reading it the other day.
Were you really? Oh no!
I was rereading it. That's Dan Jurgens, buddy of mine. Still making comics this day.
I know he's a giant.
Where they famous people know they changed the ending at the last second, so it made no sense.
That's right, because it's completely unearned. Yeah, what's interesting about those events? Speaking of which, like those annual events, no collections. You cannot buy Armageddon 2001 in anything but backbins. You can't get Bloodlines. And I've been saying this for years. No Eclipso the Darkness Within omnibus. Where are if I can get War of the Gods in omnibus form, I should be able to get
art in Eclipso. I remember that.
Oh yeah. Now that had Bart Sears art in there. Yeah. No, it's cool.
That was cool. Yeah, no, I liked Armageddon. I mean, I enjoyed the marvel of the aughts when Bendis did the one event a year. It all seemed connected and it all seemed cool. I mean, not everything was perfect and all of that, but it felt so sewn together
completely.
And I think House of X is amazing and just an amazing idea. And the No More Mutants is still one of the most powerful moments in all of comics.
Yeah. Bendis is churning out like key, unforgettable moments for Marvel every effing year.
Yeah,
it's like here's another one, and it felt like it was really important. Every week you were like picking up a new thing and being like, oh shit, I'm in the middle of it. But you were also like a peer at that point.
No, I was not a peer. I was still going to cons. And Hickman's Secret War, I think, is super cool as like a very recent event that was just the art is amazing.
Sure.
Yeah, those. I mean, and then you had the DC. I'm naming fucking events. I guess I liked them all. I didn't like them all. I didn't like everything. I'll make fun of the end of Final Crisis. I can't understand what happened.
That's funny. I feel the same way. I'm not a big booster of Final Crisis, but I appreciate other people who do. I'll just endure the insults of it's too smart for you. Okay, It's like
as a mood poem, I like it. Like you read it, you feel very uncomfortable as you go along, but you don't quite know what's going on. When that was coming out, podcasts were already out, and I would listen to Comic Geek Speak. And they would do in-depth where they'd explain to me what I just read. And I very much remember being in the parking lot of the CIA being like, oh, that's why they were singing. And be like, okay, I got to go fight terrorism now. That's a weird life I live. That a lot of that went over my head.
That's fair. Yeah, same. Speaking of great art, apropos of that, Daniel Sampere's work on Wonder Woman.
Oh, crazy good. My God.
So good. Every goddamn issue.
It makes no sense how good he is. And he's so fast.
Yeah.
He's doing the first 6. Do you know how hard it is to do art like that and hit 6 deadlines in a row?
I know. No, I do. Yeah. It's hard. And he's doing nothing. There's no slip ups. There's no degradation of work. It's just, and you were really not fair to him in issue 5, where you got like these huge full page splashes. that Grail reveal alone is just,
yeah, I don't think I've been fair to him on any issue.
Yeah, here's a horse, here's a plane, here's a full crowd scene here.
And yeah, he was excited. You know, issue 6 is coming out, and I think it's his best drawn issue. To be
sure, it will
honest. Especially the final page is going to be a classic, just in terms of because issue 6 is the all action issue.
Yeah. Oh.
It's Wonder Woman versus all of the villains.
Nice.
In a big fight on the Washington Mall, and it's finally Daniel's like, finally I get to let loose, you know, like I give him a whole issue where she's doing Make-A-Wish, and
yeah, that was great. That Make-A-Wish issue was fantastic.
And that was Daniel's idea. I was like, what should we do for the next issue? And he's like, let's do something where she saves somebody, was what he said. I was like, how do I do where she saves somebody? So that was Daniel's thing.
That's cool.
But yeah, I think issue 6 is gonna be legendary for the art. It's one of those issues where people are gonna be like, oh my God, I cannot believe what I just read.
Yeah. How do you feel about it now? The last time we talked, you were like, Wonder Woman, like you were excited to do the job. You had a great pitch of a fantastic beginning, but for the longest time you were like, the Wonder Woman character hasn't really been given like a very great service. Like it's been, the runs shouldn't have a lot of legendary runs.
It's still very hard. She's still very hard to write.
Is she? You haven't got? Have you cracked her at least? You're like, I know who Diana is. I've got her, or are you still kind of like, I'm still figuring it out?
No, I think I theoretically know who she is. I can hear her voice in my head.
Yep.
I can hear her. She talks with an accent. It's clear as a bell in my head how she talks. I can always, if someone says something to her, I know how she's going to respond. That just comes very naturally now. So I think I have a feel for her as a character. She's still very hard to write. She's still much harder to write than Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
To find the balance between someone who is empathetic and wants peace in a book where I constantly have to provide conflict,
right,
is difficult. And my answer always is highlight how awesome she is, and that makes it that having that be my North Star has been the trick to the book. Just like every issue is, why is Wonder Woman awesome?
Right. Yeah.
And as long as I keep my eye, that was not always the way in my Batman book. Sometimes I'm like, why is Batman shitty?
Right.
And that's not what I want Wonder Woman to be about. I want people to read this book and be like, oh, Wonder Woman is fucking kick ass.
Yeah.
Oh, Wonder Woman is fucking kind, but not in a shitty way. Oh, well, Wonder Woman is funny, can be funny. So as long as I keep my eye on that ball, then it's easier to write.
Yeah.
When I lose that, it's hard.
I loved there was a moment meta textually where the audience was reacting to the series as it was dropping. And I remember in the beginning of the series, people were complaining about it. And then it eventually got to issue 5. And I was like, where they were like, okay, so we got the one woman, but where's Cassie? But where's Donna? But what about Yara? And issue 5 was issue 5 a direct response to the criticisms of where is the Wonder Family, or were you like, no, I always had the plan to drop them in issue 5? Like that was, you just people don't have enough patience.
In writing a book like Wonder Woman, I am not in the business of denying you pleasure. That's not that is not my goal. My goal in writing a Wonder Woman book is to get you pumped up and to make you happy and to make you read this book and be like, fuck yeah. Sorry, there's probably a better term for that. Hell yeah, for example, as Heyman would say.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, Jesus, you're like the pioneer of hell yeah now.
So it's not, I don't want to give you a moment where there's a wedding and we rip it out from under you. That's not.
I can't imagine that happening in any.
Yeah, no, it'd be crazy. But I want to make. I want people to read this book and to feel a joy about this character, even though the irony of the book is that it's narrated by the guy who's getting beat by every issue, and he's just spewing poison at you as you read it.
Yeah.
And then that only increases and continues. But yeah, I knew there was a passion for those characters, and I wanted to get them in the book, and I wanted to get them in fast, and I wanted to get the villains in. I just wanted to establish Wonder Woman up front. This book is meant for fans of Wonder Woman. It's not meant for me. I mean, I'm a fan of Wonder Woman, but I'm not just writing it to sort of, I'm going to deconstruct her and I'm going to take her apart and I'm going to satisfy all my literary ambitions. That's not what I want this book to be.
Yeah.
I want this book just to be awesome.
I need to also shout out Bill and Ortega for the backups.
And they're the best, right?
They're so great. I guess it makes sense. You're a father. You've got like great kids. The fact that you can give us these super sons, but they're at different various points in their lives, and just the expression of joy and youthful exuberance. I'm like, oh my God, this is a far cry from Gotham City Year One. This is just look at these people smiling and joking and having a good time. Trinity is a sweetheart, but we also see like this real friendship and like a tangible I get it between John and Damian. That is that you're missing out if you're not reading these backups.
I never get to write funny. I love writing funny. I rose to prominence writing an Elmer Fudd Batman book. It was probably the saddest Elmer Fudd Batman book you'll ever read. But yeah, I really should not be doing those backups. I have so much fucking work, and I really should be like, yes, let someone else do them.
Yeah.
But I have so much fun writing them, and Blaine Ortega, who's drawing them, just blows it out of the park every time.
Yep.
And draws it in this perfect style where you feel like you're with those characters and you feel like they're your friends.
Yeah.
And it's my chance to do. I'm not as good as these people, but it's my chance to like do like a little Calvin and Hobbes and a little Peanuts and the things I grew up with that were like these comic strip ideas. Which were funny and silly and goofy, and the goal of that is to at the very end give you a whole trade that's just those, and to have a cartoon of these three guys and they're just bouncing off each other. Sometimes we want superheroes who are suffering and overcoming suffering. I love that. I'm Grimace Society. Sometimes we just want to read about three people who are having a good time and are laughing and
like each other.
It's nice. And that's so. Crazy. So I saw Belena, and I'm butchering her name. I apologize to her. At a con, and she came up to me and she was mad at me because in the latest issue I've had her draw kangaroos.
Yes.
And she's Spanish. She's from Spain, and she's like, I don't know, why am I drawing kangaroos? Do you think I know any fucking thing about kangaroos? And I was like, well, I felt so bad. I was like,
it's a Wonder Woman thing.
It's so hard. Yeah, so it's a Wonder Woman thing. He's like, what? And I was like, what do you want to draw? And she's like, I want to draw samurais and I want to draw corgis.
Okay.
And I was like, what? And she's like, that's what I want to draw. I want to draw samurais, and I was like, okay, well, I'll figure it out. So I went home and I told her, I was like, we're going to have Wonder Woman. So in the next few stories, you will see there will be samurais and there will be corgis.
I can't wait. And now you'll know why, because Len Ortega just desperately wanted to draw those. And it's your apology for making her draw at least no fewer than 3 kangaroos at one time.
Okay, I'll tell you about the corgi one because I like that one.
All right, please, yeah.
No, this is spoilers just for this podcast. I haven't mentioned this anywhere at all. It hasn't even been drawn yet, so maybe they'll take it back. But there's one where it takes place after. I do it in different timelines. So sometimes she's 6, sometimes she's 13, sometimes she's 20. Yeah. And this one, she's 20. And her and the three of them, Gen S as I call them, were just in a fight with Cersei. And Cersei turned Batman and Superman into corgis. And so there's a Bat Corgi and a Super Corgi.
All right, that's awesome. That's great.
and at the beginning, a very upset Trinity brings them to a magician. He's like, how do I turn them back? He's like, it's going to take a while. You just kind of have to take care of them. So it's her babysitting Bat Corgi and Super Corgi for 8 pages.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's the most fun I've ever had writing anything.
I love it. That's awesome.
Wonderful.
I can't wait. I have to ask about Gen S because last time we talked about it, I think you hadn't hashed out what you were going to call the new Trinity.
Yes. I have no idea if it's going to work, but yes.
Well, we got it now. It's Gen S. That's the one you
Gen S. I went through 1,000 iterations. I even made the kangaroo issue you were talking about is them arguing over it because that was like my internal arguments over what it could be.
I remember because there's a segment of our show where we talked about what would be better, and you're like, I don't know. And back then, and maybe you were pulling my leg then, but you were like, I don't know. What Trinity is so perfect. I suggested Triad, and you were like, there's already a gang called that. You can't go with Triad. But I love it. I think it works, and I like how we arrived at that conclusion, and I hope it sticks.
A high up officer at DC, I won't say who, was the one who suggested Delta Force.
Now, do they know there already had been, or were they just like, yeah?
No, they just like Delta Force is the way to go, and I'm just, I'm seeing the movie from the '90s in my head.
Yep.
So there was a little slight inside mocking in me putting Delta Force in there.
Yeah.
I have 3 children of various ages. They're 15, 13, and 9. The only thing I write that they're invested in are these backups. Lizzie backups. They could care less about Helen of Wyndhorn and all that stuff.
Yes.
But these backups, every time I write one, they want to go over it. They want to know about the corgis. And so we went through a dozen iterations of all of the things. And the one that most appealed to them was Gen S, because they very much think of them. They've never heard of every generation to them is just a letter because they're just XYZ. They just think that's what generations are.
Yeah.
So Gen S. Then, of course, as soon as I did that and wrote in a script, they announced the Gen Z show spinoff.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right.
The boys. So hopefully people don't get confused. But I don't know. I read a lot of Gen X comics when I was a kid. Those that series. So yeah, I don't know. Gen S. We'll see if it works. It's up to you guys if it catches on or doesn't. I put it out in the world. It's whether or not you guys retweet it and put it on Instagram, whatever. But I like it.
Yeah. Speaking of Helen and Wyndhorn, we should probably mention at the very least that this is a new series that's coming out in mid-March, but at the end of this week, January 29th, final order cutoff, tell your comic shops, I want this book. I've never read it. Nobody sent me any preview copies.
Wait, nobody sent you a copy?
No, nobody sent me a copy. But
wait, that's insane! I didn't send you oh my god!
I know.
You'll have a copy by the time.
I got a show with writer of Superman. I gotta buy my own Supermans. I don't see that.
That's
not true.
I'm so sorry, Sal. I'm the one in charge of sending stuff out. I cannot believe I did not send you one.
This is not I'm not doing that to drag you. I just want to say I don't
know. This is just me failing as a marketer. I hate marking my own stuff.
That's one of the worst aspects of the current world of comics. I think is the kind of laissez-faire attitude of well, you have a presence. I can save a boatload of cash just letting you Stanley it up. And as we've seen from, the careers of Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby, not everybody wants to be like, ladies and gentlemen, look at what someone else created.
I fall halfway in between. I'm not shy. I don't mind talking to people, but I'm so fucking busy and deadlines are my number one thing. But I also feel I have an assistant now. I have someone who could do all this crap for me.
That's true.
But I don't know, reaching out to someone and being like, hey, do you want to read this book I wrote? Feels like it should come from me and not from an assistant. It just feels kind of dickish not to do that. I end up doing most of it myself.
Yeah.
Sorry. Overlooking, that's my fault. Should have done it.
Again, not a big deal, but it is coming out mid-March.
No, I did it on purpose. It's totally
there you go.
I would never show you.
Well, I look forward to buying it myself because it is from the same creative team as Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is, of course, a incredible series that rumor has it is going to be a movie. I think that's okay to say because they announced it. And as far as the current recording of this show, there's casting rumors abound. And all that. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but I will say I'm hyped. I'm looking forward to it.
As am I. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. But Helen Wyndhorn, since 50% of us here on this show have read it, what and when I say read, I mean wrote.
You're the perfect person to sell it to because you've never read it, so it's perfect. This is
exactly
ideal. But I'm going to go on a whole thing of what it's about and what it's like and how beautiful it is. And
awesome.
But you don't have to, audience out there, you don't have to remember that, Sally. You don't remember. I just want you to take away one thing: is if you liked Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which is my best-selling trade. If you like that and you were like, you finished and you're like, I want more. This is more. That's it. That's all this is. That's
more.
You don't need another thought. I will pitch it to you. I'll tell you the whole thing. But if you're like, that was awesome. If you like that shit and I throw it away, this might not be for you. But if you thought that was cool, if that was your jam, if those themes and that team did it for you, because this is the writer of that, this is the penciler and inker of that, it's the colorist, and it's the letterer. It's literally the exact same team that brought you Supergirl. Not only that, I wrote this 2 years ago, right after I wrote Supergirl.
Oh my God! So you were in that same headspace.
Yeah, it's not even me from today who wrote this. It's the same guy who wrote that with the same desires, and it was written purposely for this, just because I knew that was good and I knew it was wonderful and I knew people would want more. And so I wrote something to answer that question. If I finish Supergirl, where do I go next? Helen of Wyndhorn is where do you go next? So that's it. I'm going to talk about the book, but that's all I want anyone to take away. I like Supergirl. I'll pick up this.
That's a hell of a sell. I mean, that's a reason to buy it anyway.
Yes.
But yeah.
So let me. So this is the pitch. I'm pitching it as is Wuthering Heights meets Conan. That's a very bizarre thing for a human being to say.
Yes.
But the idea is when I was working on this book, I was in one headspace, which I was reading Wuthering Heights, and I was looking at all these sort of gothic literature, these books that were written that are about sort of mostly women going to very strange houses and finding strange ghosts or men or things. The most prominent example, I think, for our generation is Beauty and the Beast. That's totally a perfect example of like a woman being left alone in a house, and she sort of discovers who she is, and she discovers who the head of the house is, and it has a huge impact on her life. It's a whole genre. It's called Gothic literature. And at that same time, I became obsessed with Conan comics. I think I saw some interview with Roy Thomas. Like, I never read Conan as a kid. So I just read a ton of Roy Thomas, John Buscema, just this beautiful Conan stuff. And then of course I went back to the source material and I started reading the Howard stuff, and I was like, this is amazing. And I thought it was so cool. And, a huge Game of Thrones guy. I was like, oh, of course the Dothraki were just stolen from Conan. I had no idea. And at the time I was, so when, it was like peanut butter and chocolate, I was like, I have these two great things. I'm just going to put them together. And so I put them together and I made something that is a Gothic story that has a very Conan bent. And it's first of all, it's a riff off of not just the Conan story, but the creation of Conan. For people to know, the creator of Conan, this guy Howard, he has defined a new genre. He changed fantasy fiction forever. He is still impacting our lives today. And he was successful enough. He was a very pulpy novelist. He wrote anything he could for money, which I always appreciate. And when he was 30 years old, very young, his mother died, and he walked away from his mother's deathbed, went to his car, pulled out a gun, and shot himself in the head. And no one kind of understands why he did this or what triggered it, but that's the creator of Conan. That's how he sort of died. Yeah. And so I started riffing on that, and what I came up with is I created a character, another writer, a writer of Conan-like fiction. I call my Conan Othin. Well, I mean, it's completely original creation. Don't sue me. And he kills himself, and he leaves a daughter, a 16-year-old daughter who traveled with him and sort of gone on this weird journey of living for Apollos. And the grandfather of the daughter comes to pick her up and be like, you have to live with me. She's never met this grandfather before. And she goes to a grand estate, and she's, raised dirt poor, sort of scrapping in rural Texas. And she goes to a great state in New England. And what she slowly figures out is that her grandfather is Conan, is the basis for all of her father's stories. And so what it's really about, it's about a grandfather and a granddaughter bonding over the generation between them and figuring out why he died and how that sort of unites them. And that's sort of the emotional core. And it takes place both in, sort of New England, big mansion land, and it also takes place in sort of a Conan fantasy land at the same time.
Yeah.
And but that's all complicated. That's all weird. That's all interesting. So you can be attracted to that or not, and you can just throw it out. And remember the first thing I told you, which was if you like Supergirl, you're going to like Helen of Wyndhorn.
Well, tell your local comic book stores, January 29th, final order cutoff. Tell them I want that book. For people who don't know what final order cutoff means, we were talking about it before. It's like weird comic book talk. All that means is that if you're at your store, you're buying comics, just turn to your owner and say, "Hey, I'm interested in that Helen." That's all it means. It doesn't take. Yeah, it's true. It doesn't. It's not a complicated system. Marvel and DC need to like have infographic animations made and just put out on like TikTok and YouTube and like everywhere. Right? It just says like, "This is what pre-ordering is." Welcome to your local comic book store. Hello, I would like to read Helen of Wyndhorn. That's it. You're at the door. Or you could tweet at them. You could email them. You could go on their Instagram page. Call them. It doesn't matter. You can call them. It's just you communicating to your store. Hey, that Helen of Wyndhorn book. Hey, I really like Supergirl. I hear they got something else coming up. Let's go for it. Right. I want it when it comes out. Please reserve a copy for me. Yeah. Can do. That's it's that easy. And it seems so esoteric to so much of the comic book reading audience. And I'm like, I assumed wrongly that most comic fans are also directly plugged into how the industry works, because naturally they would have the same fascination with the minutia as I do, just like everyone knows how the film industry works because it's so fascinating and fun and they make their own self-aggrandizing jerk-off movies about themselves. Everyone knows how films are made. Everyone should know or want to know how every piece of media they love are made. And then I realized, no, that's only relegated to movies. People love to see how movies are made. Nobody gives a shit how music, comic books, or any other type of video games, they don't care how they're made. They just Sal, when I grow older, I'm just going to sell my scripts on the street and make thousands and thousands of dollars because people want to see how I do panel 1 on Batman. Yeah. I would love to read actually a sample of your scripts. I've seen so many different samples and they're all completely different because there is no standardization for comic book scripting. It's just whatever you want. It is. It's very bizarre. And then when you work in Hollywood, it is the opposite of that. Exactly. Which makes me very much scared that I don't know how to do it right. Oh, sure. Yeah. I think that's I know that I've read a couple of Bendis ones because he put out that book Words for Pictures on sale now. But I don't know why I'm plugging for Bendis. He doesn't need my help. But I own that book though. But his scripts are great. Too. It's very good. It's great. Yeah. What do you need it for? Let's plug for Bendis. I like the idea of like Eisner Award-winning writer Tom King owns How to Write Comic Books. Wait, I constantly buy How to Write Comic Book books. Why? Yes, if you should be writing those books. I know. I learned things from. I remember I got Denny O'Neill's book, How to Script Comics. Oh, he has a book. He has. Yeah, he has like. Oh my God, so DC did a series like How to Script, How to Ink, How to Draw. And I remember, and he's like, always start with a splash page. That always has to be your first page. And I was like, why, Denny? I'd be interested in this. I was like, oh yeah, but I could. There's always tools in that stuff. Yeah, anytime. Yeah. I watch videos of Bendis talking about how to make comics, or I do. I know my research continues and continues. Do you have that? I constantly learn. Do you have that comic book that Alan Moore put out about how to write comic books? Yes, I also have that. Well, people come up to me and they'll be like, give me advice about writing comics. And I'll be like, oh my God, I've got 2 seconds. And we already wasted one of the seconds on you telling me how much you love Sal. So like, fair. Yeah. So that's the advice. Hardly a waste. No. Spent wisely. That's right. I tell them it's like $7 on Amazon. I was like, buy Alan Moore. Alan Moore at the height of his powers wrote a book on how to write comics. You should buy it. I still think about that. His categorization of what a 3-dimensional character is in comics is brilliant. Yeah. I also love Peter David's book. I think it's just How to Write Comics by Peter David. Yes. Peter David's book is very good. That's a great one. God, who else did? Where the hell's your book? Where's the Tom King? How to Write Comics by the Tom King way. First, how much can your characters cry? Yeah, exactly. Find a character. Answer more. How sad can your character be? And 9-panel grids are your friend. That's right. I think Alan Moore probably wrote that in his. Have you? We must have talked about this, but have you ever met Alan Miller?
I've never met him. I'm sure he hates me because he hated me because I did the button, and then I did Rorschach. So he already hated me by the time I did that. No, Donnie has a wonderful story of going out and meeting him. If you ever get Donnie on the show,
we've had him on once, but I did not know to ask him that question, lest I would have.
Yes, please ask. And a lot of the they're like pubs you can go to in England where he shows up, and is my understanding. But no, I know Frank very well, so I have that. So I'll cling to that.
That's pretty cool. That you get to.
Yeah, Frank and I are friends. We like text and stuff. So.
Oh wow, he's a texter. Is he a good texter?
No, he's not a good texter.
Does he use emojis?
Yes, all of them.
All of them. Does he tell stories through only emojis where he's like answers a question? It's
he draws his own emojis. He only uses his own.
Oh my god.
They're all huge hand emojis.
Yeah. I guess that's it.
That's it? You're done with me?
No, I got plenty more. I just don't want to keep too much of your time. I don't want to take too much of your time.
16 more books I've got coming out.
That's true. You know what? Let's talk about the books you have coming out / that are out right now.
Animal Pound. I got a Boom book.
Yeah, I still again another one. I'm like, it's sold out. I was like, I don't have Animal Pound. I got to read Animal Pound. Even though I know I'm going to not want to because it's going to be sad.
It's not animals. Sad. No, it's pretty sad. It's not. It's funny. People are like, "Is it a dead dog book?" And I was like, "No. It's. I love dogs. I have a dog who's sitting. 3 feet behind me, and I would hate to write or read a dead dog book. So my instinct is always like, "No, it's not." But then I remember in the first 8 pages, a dog dies. So it literally, So right. But it's off screen. It's done very humanely. You don't have to like kind of suffer with it.
Good. Okay.
But there's besides that, it's not a dead dog book. But it doesn't end happily. It's not a happy book. It's not.
Well, I mean, I think we all know how. Well, maybe we don't. But Animal Farm is, it's not a delightful romp.
Yes, the hero of Animal Farm is the horse, and in the end, he's glue. So like it's
spoilers.
Spoilers for Animal Farm.
For Animal Farm, I didn't read it in 7th grade. Yeah. Oh my god.
So this. I mean, Animal Pound is about the rise of evil and fascism. So yeah, it doesn't end well.
No,
it's very, very good. I just signed off on issue 2, and it's Peter Gross is killing it on art.
Yeah,
and it's just some of the best stuff I've ever done. No.
Nice. What about what's the other thing?
That's it. I think that's enough. Is that enough?
No, there's another one.
There's another book. I don't even remember what I'm writing. That's a little crazy.
I know, right? Well, Love Everlasting.
Love Everlasting. Yes, I have one more book. Yes, I have an image book.
Yeah. Oh my god. No, Love Everlasting is going strong. People are loving it.
We're going strong. Well, we're on the 3rd arc now. After the 3rd arc, there will be a break. We'll be at the halfway point. It was supposed to be 30 issues. It'll be 15. Elsa. God bless her and God hate her. She's going to write for herself, which is my least favorite thing when artists.
It's when they discover that they can do it. Yeah.
No, it's not fun. So Elsa's going to take a break to do her own thing over at Distillery, and then we're going to hopefully come back to it.
Nice.
But people who are waiting for a lot of answers, there's a lot of answers in the 3rd volume.
Awesome.
People who are not following it, I think volume 2 of Love Everlasting is the best thing I ever wrote, just in terms of technical writing, in terms of something that was like hard to pull off and doing a lot of things. I just think that's like the top for me.
Yeah. Danger Street ended.
Oh yes, Danger Street.
Yeah.
Yes, I pulled it off.
You did,
but you haven't read it because you're going to read it all at once.
That's right. I have to sit down and read it all at once.
Which I highly recommend. I think this is the right way to do it.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I could wait for the trade, but I also pre-ordered the entire series, and so I just have it as a stack. So I'll probably do both.
The first trade is out. There's going to be a second trade, obviously.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that DC likes to do that, where they make a hardcover and then they make another hardcover, and then they make another hardcover, where it's both hardcovers in one hardcover. Pass.
That's most annoying in Human Target with the 2 Human Target hardcovers.
That's like, come on. I mean, I
don't even include the special issue. There's an issue missing from that.
Yeah. Are you gonna? Do we have to start a hashtag campaign to get the deluxe edition of Human Target, because that's another borderline perfect comic book. I don't want to seem like I'm blowing smoke, but like
I love Human Target.
So incredible.
No, I when the second volume came in, I read it, and I got emotionally depressed. Like I this sounds like I'm blowing smoke on my own, but it's mostly because of Greg and what he did.
It's so good.
But like when I went into comics when I was a little kid, when I was whatever 11, 12 years old, you know, and I was like, what do I want to do in comics? I want to create something that's, you know, like Squadron Supreme, something I loved when I was a kid, like that's modern, but like it's also about old comics. And then as an older, you know, now I love noir, I love beautiful art, I love sexy people. I love sexy people from Tom King. I love romance. I love that chemistry between two people who have to be together.
Yeah.
And I just did everything I wanted to do in a book in Human Target.
Wow.
And Greg executed it just absolutely perfectly. And I was like, oh, well, now I'm done. What the fuck? What am I going to do? This is what I wanted to accomplish. I accomplished it. Shit.
Oh no! Now what?
Yeah, now what?
Just take up surfing or something.
Yeah, is surfing cool? Do people like that? I hear the water's cold.
Yeah,
but my kids still have to fucking eat. That's the problem.
Oh yeah, damn it! I guess Well,
yeah, I want to Bill Watterson it and just go in the forest and draw
and learn how to learn the guitar and watercolor.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. But I'm not. I don't have the guts.
Have you ever met Bill Watterson?
Has anyone ever met Bill Watterson?
Yes, I know people. Who have.
You know people who know.
I've touched people who have met Bill Watterson. It's the closest thing I'll ever get. But yes, I met somebody at a symposium. They were talking about comic booking or comic stripping, and and they were talking about Bill Watterson. They mentioned him colloquially. They said like, "Oh, I saw Bill the other day," and I went over to him. Yeah, I know, and it was the closest thing to a religious experience I'd ever had outside of going to church, but. Where I was like, you've seen him? Like, have you washed your hands since the last time you shook it? Can I touch Bill Waters? It was just, folks, if you were born in the 80s, Bill Watterson is a really important figure in the world of comics. But I was like, what is he doing?
Well, you've got a Hobbs back there.
I do, and I have the best kind of Hobbs. This is obviously not mass produced because nothing of Calvin Hobbs was except for one calendar. But there was like a blueprint online that someone made. One of my best friends made it for me on a bus commuting to the city every day for like a few months.
Well, that's wonderful.
And the other thing is, and this is just the nerd in me, it's really accurate. And it's really important to me.
It's wonderful.
Like he looks exactly like him. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, someone got mad at me in the comments. This is going back a couple of years where they saw it and they went, "Bill Watterson wouldn't want you to have that." And I was like, first of all, don't presume to know what Bill.
What do you know? Yeah, you're not inside his head.
Yeah, and secondly, I didn't buy that. But no, I asked him. I was like, "What's Bill Watterson doing now?" And he's like, "Oh, he's learning the guitar." And I was like, "And all we have is like the 10th anniversary special, like that book."
Yeah.
To know anything about it.
I just rebought that book.
Really?
Because my kids read it to death and all the pages fell out.
Oh, that'll do it. Yeah.
And and now my 9-year-old is old enough he can start, and it's like that's the best book to start with because he gives you like a little guide of what he was thinking at the time, and it's really wonderful.
Yeah. That's like my go-to gift for any kid who can read.
Yeah.
I give them the essential or the authoritative. Either way, I just give them a big, chunky, cheap Calvin and Hobbes. I'm like, rip it apart, read it until it falls apart. Because my Calvin and Hobbes, my essential, has like duct tape from 1991 keeping the spine together. Like it's just, yeah. Anyway.
I read his latest thing.
Yeah, the book.
I read it. Yeah.
I haven't read it yet. I haven't brought myself to do it. How do you like it?
It'll take you like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not.
I've got it. It's
beautiful and it's kind of nice, but you just
it ain't Calvin and Hobbes.
It's a very strange thing to put out after 30 years.
It is. But like that,
it's a curveball.
That's so him. Like he's such a curmudgeon. Like he's just like, oh, I don't want to give you what you want. I want to give you what you don't expect. And it's like, all right, fine.
It is crazy because he's the greatest living cartoonist, right? Like I don't think that's in doubt.
I think he's overshadowed Charles Schultz. I'll put the.
Oh well, that's too far for me.
I don't think so.
That is too far for.
Because I'll tell you one thing. I've never seen.
I have a son named Charlie.
Oh my God! Charlie. Oh well, I apologize.
That's how
comments withdrawn.
Overshadowed Schultz.
Yeah, well,
no, it's true. He's more popular. He's definitely more. I don't know.
No. Charles
because of the cartoons.
Yes.
Not because of the strips, because of the cartoons.
The strips torpedo Peanuts, but Peanuts is a cultural phenomenon that will never be forgotten because of the merchandising arm. I mean,
yeah, and the whole association with Christmas that the Peanuts kind of has.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm a diehard Peanuts guy. That's personally, I think in terms of comics, in terms of people matching pictures to words, that's the best it's ever been is Peanuts. But
Really?
if you talk to most people, like if I'm in line, I talk to people, most people put Calvin Hobbes as their number one.
Right.
I think that's the standard.
Yeah. Either that or Hagar the Horrible.
Yeah, well, Hagar's, of course. I mean, that's okay. Look at that guy. He's lazy. What is he thinking?
Yeah.
He's a lazy Viking.
Right. He's the Viking Andy Cap. Stupid. But yeah, no.
I'd love to do a comic strip. That would be just a joy.
Well, I mean, you kind of touched upon it a little bit when you were talking about the the team, the Gen S.
I at one point they were looking for like what to do with the Hanna-Barbera line, and I was like, "Oh, let me do a comic strip. Just let me do a comic strip." And you and Hanna-Barbera. I was like,
yeah.
I think that would. It must.
That's a grueling job. Like I mean, I'm just saying, it's like it's a doing comics in general, like web comics or strips in general. It's just like a strip a day, every day, never. I don't know.
I was telling you, I don't know. Can this be a secret? I'm sure they're going to do some sort of announcement, but I was writing some Archie today.
Yes.
Mostly because my kids are Archie obsessed. They love Archie. So I'm not saying where this is or what it is or when it's going to come out or anything, so they can do a big announcement. But and it is hard to write funny. It is much. It's much easier to be like silent panel. Batman looks into the night, and to be like. Jughead makes a joke. You're like, what the fuck? What should Jughead joke about? He likes burgers. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
So to day in, day out, come up with a gag, to come up with a 3-panel gag, that's just blows my mind.
That's hard work. I have a lot of respect for it. I like that. Did you pursue the Archie thing? Were you like, all right, I got to reach out to the Archie people? Oh,
very much so. Yes, I went after the Archie people. I begged, I bartered, I'm on an exclusive with DC. So
I was going to say,
I had to ask DC for special permission.
They were like, what?
I cannot express to you how much Archie is in my house.
Yeah. No, I saw last time I saw you had like original Archies like under your arm. Like you were like, I got to bring them home to my kids.
I created a wall of Archies in my house because my kids are obsessed, especially my 2 youngest are obsessed with them. So I bought a crap ton of Archies from the 60s and 50s and made entire wall of my house out of Archie stories. That's very cool looking. That my kids watch. It's the hallway of my kids' room. So they get out and there's like all these art, and
that's really cool.
There's like just this original art.
Yeah,
it's just a way for me to spend money on original art and justify it to my wife. No, it's for the kids.
It's for the kids. So then I have to ask, as far as who deserves the affections of the most eligible bachelor in all of Riverdale, Betty or Veronica?
First of all, neither of them deserve Archie. Archie is a bumbling idiot.
He is an idiot. Yeah.
I've asked this of my daughter is very. She reads a ton of Archies, but she's a very strong kind of woman. And I was like, why are you offended by this kind of thing? And she's like, no, because Betty and Veronica are so much cooler than Archie, and so like neither of them. But if I think Veronica is the better match for Archie.
Really?
In the original Archie in the 50s, 60s Archie, it was basically Veronica and Archie were the couple, and Betty was trying to kind of break in on the outside. It's only become even in the last 30 years or so. But there's something about how. Archie's generally a weak person, and she gives him strength, I would say.
Okay. That's interesting. I think there's something regional about that. I think that's because I assume that like folks either like not from either coast choose Betty, and I think coastal folks choose Veronica.
Oh, fascinating. Well, I am a coastal person.
I know.
I'm conforming to my.
Yeah. Although I myself I go Cheryl Blossom, but Dilton Doily could always have her. That's fine with me.
Sure. Or go for Josie, man. She's got a whole band. She's much cooler.
Josie's cool. You know, the problem is all of the Archie universe. You know, does Josie count?
Josie counts. Josie's definitely in the Archie universe.
And what about Sabrina?
Sabrina's still there, man. I would go like what is it? His pal Wilkie or something, or his boy Wilkie.
Oh,
My kids are deep into this crap.
Well, then how about this? Do they know about Jughead's secret girlfriend, who came about? Like this is, I read it in an Archie digest back in like, I want to say the late 90s, early 90s. But Jughead is like a secret girlfriend from like where he came from. He's not like from Riverdale. Like he had this girlfriend.
Yes, and his real name is like he's Forsyth the Third.
Yes, it's an insane name. I can't say.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
I will ask them. I will quiz them tomorrow if they know about Jughead.
Yeah, ask them about Jughead's secret girlfriend or his long lost girlfriend. And I have to also ask, I guess, when the DC exclusivity ends, will you finally write the Wolverine versus Jughead crossover that we've all been waiting for? Because
100%, yes.
Archie Punisher teased it, but we never got it. The Jughead Wolverine crossover.
I will write any Archie they will let me write because I'll do anything to impress my children.
That's fair. That's good. That's a good policy to have.
That's how Archie ends. He gets sliced.
Wolverine shows up and he's like, man, yeah. That's oof. Anyway, well,
all
congratulations on all your success. I'm so excited to see more.
Wonderful to be on your show.
It's very kind. Thank you so much for being here, man. And of course, as always, make sure to check out everything that Tom King's doing. But more importantly, make sure to pre-order your copy of Helen of Wyndhorn at your local comic book store or at your national available comic book stores. There's people who will sell them to you and mail them to you if you're hundreds of miles away from one. I know you folks in the Midwest or Australia have trouble getting your books. But January 29th, FOC, pick it up. Otherwise, thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next time.